Yes, you read that right. You can now sponsor a conjugal partner under the family class sponsorship in Canada for permanent residency. You do have to meet certain eligibility criteria though. So what is a conjugal partner? Conjugal partners are defined in the CIC website as person outside Canada who has had a binding relationship with a sponsor in Canada for at least 1 year but could not live together. Now this can be applied to same-sex relationships and also opposite-sex relationships equally. Who can be a sponsor? A Canadian PR, a Canadian permanent resident, or a Canadian citizen can be sponsored. A Canadian citizen can sponsor their conjugal partner whether they live in Canada or outside. The only thing is that they have to determine, or they have to show or prove to the Canadian government that once the PR has been given to the applicant, they will live in Canada. However, you have to keep in mind that a PR or a permanent resident of Canada who is living outside Canada cannot do this. They cannot sponsor their conjugal partner unless they live in Canada, and of course you have to be at least over the age of 18. Canadian immigration strongly believes in family reunification, and so applicants under the family class are given the highest priority in under CIC. The Canadian government introduced new spousal sponsorship package on December 15, 2016, and certain things were changed, and some of the reasons for the changes were they had to combat backlog. There was a lot of backlog in such applications, fairness and equality for all Canadians, and they had to tackle conditional permanent residency as well. Remember, when you sponsor someone under the family class sponsorship, you are automatically taking their responsibility. Now, what I mean by that is when you sign the application, the undertaking application, you are automatically telling the government that you are taking the responsibility, and most importantly, financial responsibility, basic necessities. Now, depending on the type of sponsorship under the family class category, you will sign an undertaking promise to provide financial support for basic necessities. The length of the undertaking depends on your sponsorship, and if during the undertaking period the applicant decides to go on social assistance, then you are responsible to pay that back to the government, or else you will not be able to sponsor anyone else. It is recommended that you evaluate whether the applicant, whether the person that you are sponsoring will go on social assistance or not, because this could really damage your record in Canada. Basic needs in this area, in this category, are defined as food, clothing, shelter, healthcare not covered by the government, such as eye care and dental care. One of the keys in submitting a successful application is to submit a complete and strong package to Immigration Canada. Family class sponsorship are very important not only to the sponsor but also to the government, because they are given high priority, and family reunification, as I said before, is very, very important to the government as well. It is highly recommended that you gather all relevant documents pertaining to your situation before submission is done. An incomplete submission could be returned, refused, or could take a very long time, meaning that it could be delayed for a very long time. Let's take a look at the main portions or the main documents that you need for a conjugal sponsorship. First of all, any document that is not in English or in French will need to be accompanied by a verified translation along with the actual document, no matter what language it is in. Applications or applicants from certain countries may have to submit extra documentations. For example, Afghan nationals or Afghan applicants have to submit extra documents along with their application. Now, this does not apply to all nationals of all countries, but there are certain countries that you do have to submit more documents or less documents. It all depends on the country that you come from. Medical clearances. Now, rules for submitting medical clearances have changed after the new spousal package came into effect, so submission timings can differ for each person or each case. One of the most important aspects of submitting a conjugal sponsorship to the government is to prove the conjugal relationship itself. As you are not married, so proving this could be very, very difficult. It could be very challenging. There are certain criteria that you must fall under. It is highly recommended that you seek the advice of a professional and submit a very strong and complete package the very first time around, and not have it be returned to you for missing documentation. The officer assessing your application must be satisfied that you indeed have a bona fide relationship with the person that you are sponsoring. There are forms drafted by Immigration Canada that are very, very important. The information that you put on your forms and the documents that you submit for your application must match. These forms are to be filled out by sponsor as well as the applicant. There are certain areas that you have to sign in these forms. And so that if these forms are not filled out and signed properly, your application can be returned to you. One of the most important things about these forms is that they update on almost a monthly basis. So if your application is returned to you, it could be possible that all of your forms are updated, and by this time you have to redo the forms, and your pictures might be outdated because pictures also have an expiration date on them, and it may just cause a lot of problems for you, so you may have to redo everything all over again. Is everyone eligible to sponsor their conjugal partner? No, they're not. Especially if you fall under one of these categories. If you were sponsored under this same category less than 5 years ago, sufficient time has not passed since you were sponsored under this category. You have to pay a loan, you have to support your family, or you receive social assistance. If you have claimed bankruptcy, if you are convicted of an offense of a serious offense under the Criminal Code of Canada, or you are under a removal order. There are obviously other criteria where if you were to fall under, you could not submit a conjugal sponsorship to CIC, but these are one of the main ones that you have to follow. Are you looking to see how the changes that came into effect December 2016 will benefit you? Then you need to contact Akrami and Associates today. We have submitted many successful applications to immigration, and we can help you too. With Akrami and Associates, there's always a way.